out. And while that is happening, let me get set up here so I can see what we got going on. I got my handy dandy notes. We're gonna give y'all some time to get that notification. Let's see. Something just popped up on my screen. Let's see if that's the notification. Did I get the notification? Yeah, I did get the notification. So we're gonna wait for y'all to get on in here. And while we do that, I need to set up the chat. I need to set up the chat so we can get on in here. I need to set up the chat so that I can hear you guys. You know, I always be trying to prep myself before I get on the live. And it doesn't always work out that way. So give me a second. I'm just giving you guys some time for the notification to go on out. And in the meantime, I am gonna open up the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. Yeah, see, it did not go out yet. At least on this gadget. Okay, it did not go out yet. Hey, Miss T, how are you? Now I can see you guys. I'm burning up, and I do not like the way, like, this camera angle got me looking. I don't like this camera angle. All right, we're gonna have to work on that. Huh, and I'm hot. So we're gonna take some of these layers off. Not really vibing this camera angle. Okay. How you doing, Miss T? How was your day? I'm getting used to getting on at nighttime when everybody's all, you know, home from work, all settled and ready. I'm ready to get comfortable, Miss T. I started a new show that was recommended to me by Kia called Empress on Hulu. And so I'm on episode 3. So I kind of put that on while I'm doing my notes and stuff and like research and stuff and studying and journaling. So that's my new thing because I haven't really been watching TV. I have not been watching TV that much. Okay, so how long have we been on? Sitting under the tree. Oh! When I'm done, I'm about to go get me a little break myself while I'm watching my show, Miss T. Okay, as you guys come on in, could you make sure you put a like, a thumbs up on the video? I appreciate it. And hopefully you guys will be able to spend Sunday with me, my birthday, right? Maybe you guys could, you know, we could have some wine, like we could have sip and talk on Sunday, right? Sip and talk on Sunday. So we can do that on Sunday. Sunday's my birthday. I'm so excited, okay? Sunday's my birthday, so I'm super excited about that because if y'all know where I was last year around my birthday time, woo, baby, okay? All right, I think I'm gonna actually put a time on it though, Miss T, right? Because I know people gotta work on Monday. So I think I'm gonna put a time on it so we can have a little sip and a little conversation, okay? And then, because we got a big week coming up next week, y'all, okay? Super excited about that. Oh, okay. We got 2 types of energy that jumped out tonight for this message, all right? It's kind of like they kind of recycling the same cause, all right? I got to do this so I can see. So you're going to see my light kind of shift just a second so I can read the energy here, okay? And while I do that, maybe I can turn this other light so you can see me a little bit more. I don't like this. No. Okay, we're going to have to work on the lighting, y'all. This is not. Because the light thing was in my eyes, so I try to switch it up a little bit. Okay, that works. I can see. Okay. All right, so we're at the 5-minute mark, yet we are not. All right, so we're just going to give it a few more minutes for people to get the notification and come on in, and then we're going to start at the 5-minute mark, which symbolizes change. We are going to sound the tone, and then we are going to begin, okay? Now, tonight's energy, or today's masterclass, rather, is all about allowing the illusions around you to crumble so your inner, you can really be remembered and be established, okay? So while we are doing that, I want to feel like I'm missing something. Okay, let me go ahead and give the reminders, okay? First and foremost, I'm going to remind you guys that starting on Monday, okay, we're kicking off the resonance for connecting the 12s, okay? So whether that's 12 zodiac signs, 12 strand DNA, the 12 disciplines, the 12 disciples, the 12 direction of lights, okay? So we're going to be establishing the 12, the symbolism of 12 and why and how that is important to you now, okay? And how you can activate all of this energy that's now in our solar atmosphere, per se, with the two comets, right? So that would be the 3-eye Atlas as well as the A6 Lemon. Both of those comets are definitely tapping into the frequency, okay? I got so much exciting stuff coming in for y'all. I'm so excited. I got so much stuff, okay? But I got to pace myself. All right, so Monday we start that. All right, so this is really going to be about a deep dive of you being able to remember who you are. Okay, so let me just go ahead and pull my notes up. Okay, so that way we can. All right. Okay, so first of all, I want to say hello, my lovelies, my lovely, lovely gurus, okay? That's my new name I'm calling y'all now, okay? Because I'm not your guru. You are your own personal guru. I am just here to help you remember who you are as you are on your spiritual walk or your spiritual ascension, which is really just your spiritual remembrance, okay? We're going to unpack some things tonight that you need to know as we're getting ready to go into a higher level or a higher tone, all right? We've been taught about our 7 chakras, but we have not been taught that we need to activate all 12 chakra systems. I don't want you to get boggled down with terms, and I don't want you to get boggled down thinking you got to do a lot of research to understand this, okay? This is all energetic work. The main thing that you got to do is tap into you. Everything is already internally, okay? I'm just going to give you the information to help you understand the energy field that we're in now, how it applies to you, and how you can utilize it, okay? So you don't have to do anything but trust yourself. This is just information for you to help you to understand where we are energetically, whether you say we're in assimilation, whether you say that we're in hell, whether you say we're in a new earth, whether you say that we're in multiple dimensions and multiple timelines, that it doesn't matter. None of that matters, okay? What matters is you tapping into you. That's the most important thing, okay? So wherever you at with it, all right, this information that we finna unpack and get into, some of this ancient information or ancient technology that we finna get into starting next week, okay? A lot of what you've been questioning maybe internally will start to make sense, okay? So we're dealing with codes here, and the first code system that we're gonna start with on Monday is the system of 12, okay? That's important. System of 12, because that is the foundational system that all other systems come after, right? So it starts at 12 and then it works all the way down to the root chakra. Now, as it's working its way down to the root chakra, that would be considered, let's say, your hero's descent, okay? So this will be, either working through what we call earth or your human experience, right? To evolve and learn and, whatever you want to label it, right? It will be really about you understanding that there's levels to this shit and really finding out what level you're on, so you're not boggled down with fear, so you're not boggled down with insecurities, so you're not boggled down thinking that this is a race for you to get somewhere because you already are where you're supposed to be, right? So this is just about you tapping into truth and recognizing truth within yourself, okay? Because internal truth needs no external validation, but it is going to produce for you external verification, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? So let me go ahead and give my disclaimer, okay, before we begin, all right? So these messages in these videos, I know will not resonate with anyone because they're going to require you to do your work, which simply means looking within you, which simply means owning your shit, okay? You will not be able to project as a victim. You will not be able to project and think that there's somebody else holding you and trapping you from achieving or being that in which you desire and seek at your deepest level to be, right? This is about recognizing your role in all of your experiences especially from the point that you became an adult where you're able to make certain decisions for yourself, right? It's about recognizing your patterns, recognizing your insecurity, recognizing any guilt or shame, okay? You need to, so this is what this is about. So if you're not into recognizing these things about yourself, these videos are not going to resonate with you, okay? Now, the next thing that you want to know is that access is going to be granted to you based on your inner belief system or your inner knowing, right? And I want you to take heed to this thing right here, okay? Like I said, I don't care where you're coming from with this, whether stimulation theory, whether, Christian theory, Buddha theory, because they really are just theories, okay? Or let me just say they're all mental constructs that we have been, I don't even want to use the word program to. They're all systems that we have been able to partake in, okay? And now that we're gaining more wisdom and knowledge, some of those systems may not fit. Some of those systems you may find start to fold into each other because you find one reoccurring message, which is you have everything that you need. That in which you seek is within you, okay? So access is going to be granted to you based on your inner belief system, your inner knowing. If you have limitations, then you're going to meet limitations doing your spiritual walk, okay? So you need to know that. Energy is fluid, so I can say that this feels like your energy, but it feels like the energy that you're interacting with, so you go ahead and place the energy where it needs to be, okay? This is what I will say, however. If you don't understand something, okay, just shelf it and put it on the shelf, okay? Take what you need, leave what you don't need, but what you don't understand, but you're curious and you got your spirit is tingling. Put it on the shelf and circle on back. That's all. Put it in the shelf, circle on back, or put it on the shelf and then go do your due diligence and do the research, and then you can circle on back, right? And if you find something out that you can add, right, to this soul traveling guru group that we got, community we got here, please add it to the comments, okay? Add it to the comments. Like yesterday, I found out about the Celtic salt. So add, let me just tell you something about this journey. There's precepts upon precepts in which you will find along this journey. And sometimes when you get a second precept or you reach a second level of your inner gnosis, right? That first level kind of shatters and crumbles because it's no longer solid, okay? So with that being said, last disclaimer, and this is the most important disclaimer. You are your own guru, okay? I am not your guru. I am not your leader. I am just here to help remind you who you are, okay? All right, so with that being said, we finna start this, and I'm gonna sound this tone, and we're gonna get into this, okay? All right, we're gonna sound the tone 4 times. Unless the tone is a little distorted, we're gonna go ahead and wait for that distortion to clear, all right? The reason why I'm getting you familiar with sounding the tone, because I'm getting you familiar with how to read energy, okay? And this just kind of gets you focused and gets you to pay attention to the energy around you, all right? Because we've stepped into the Quasi Era. Everything is energetic, okay? Yeah, you're not just gonna be able to tap into the physical world. You need to at least pay attention to what's going on in the unseen realm, okay? AKA the places of the unknown that you may be afraid of, okay? So here we go. That's a really good one. It just finished. And then we have one more. Last tone. All right, we're going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to set the intention for truth, clarity, coherence to come in as we meet here in this space, creating safety for us to remember who we truly are. Okay? All right. The overall energy of this message tonight is solar plexus energy and allowance. And we had allowance earlier in the week today, okay? I'm not pulling any other cards because this is not an energy pull. Okay, this is more of a conversation of us establishing some foundation rules as we are going to be starting a new journey of leveling up with this 12 this number 12 activation that we have going on across all platforms, anything connecting to 12. Okay, so solar plexus energy is saying the frequency of the solar plexus chakra, okay, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. Okay, the frequency of allowance asks us and invites us to be open to whatever comes our way without judgment, without opinions, without fear, without resistance. And when we allow the universe becomes actually a partner in this wonderful dance of existence and expansion. Okay, so basically they're saying don't fight, allow the change that is needed to come in. Okay, you need to allow the change that's needed to come in. All right, so let's go ahead and start, guys. All right, first of all, I want to say welcome. If you're doing playback, I want to say welcome, and I also want to say thank you for at least following that inclination to begin to remember who you are. Okay, that's going to be important as you're traveling through this energy. We are now in a time of a different resonance and vibration in what we call this earth that we're on, right? I do want to say to you guys, you may not be able to put it into words, you may not be able to articulate it, but you can feel that there's something going on that you can't quite put your finger on, or you know, you can feel it, but you don't have words to describe it yet, or if you do have words, the words can feel very limited, okay, but what you're feeling resonating in our atmosphere right now. Okay, you're not crazy. You do need to know, however, there are some things that's important as you're going on this journey, because everybody got something to say about the spiritual walk, okay? And even when I watch content now with some people, I can tell who's regurgitating information and who's actually doing the work. There's a resonance there, okay? So this is about you being able to discern, be able to read energy, being able to direct your energy with clear intention, being able to set boundaries on your energy, okay? And I feel like once you begin to set the proper boundaries on your energy, you don't really have to put out so much protective energy, because you're already vibrating on that energy of protection, because you're using discernment and mastery, okay? So with that being said, I want to welcome you guys, okay, all my wonderful, lovely gurus, because you are your own gurus, all right? You know, there's a thin line between a mystic and being a little insane. So a lot of these new things that's happening, a lot of these new terms, right? A lot of these new terms that you're hearing, some of them are familiar because you may have read them years ago, but they're now coming into surface. And some of them may not be familiar, but they're the words that you now have understanding to put certain things together that you couldn't quite explain, okay? So, yeah, Miss T, limited words. Okay, so thin line between mysticism and insanity. So just please check your own internal intuition, your own internal truth compass, okay? As well as making sure that you set the proper healthy boundaries. So we're gonna go through some things today, because we need to talk about these things before Monday, okay? First thing that I have on the list is you're going to have to allow the chips to crumble where they may, right? Especially in any illusions that's being brought forward for you to pay attention to now, whether that illusion is coming in the form of shame, guilt, control issues, insecurities, relationship drama, career drama, lack of funds. However that is displaying in your experience right now, you have to be able to let it fall and then go within so you can actually see how to navigate this, okay? Because what's happening is a lot of people are trying to still fit in that same old energy or that old timeline, and it's not moving the same way it's moving. Remember, that's a distorted timeline, okay? And let me just stop here and set some foundations in how you can think about this, okay? Think about this as like playing a video game, right? Or think about it as a system where you have levels to the system, right? And within the levels to the system, there's certain rules that apply on every level. Like what may have worked on level 1 may not necessarily work on level 5, right? You may not have known how strong you were in level 1, but as you increased in levels, you gain more strength. Okay, it's the same thing that's unfolding right now. Okay, as you go within, you're beginning to see fragmented aspects of yourself being surfaced for you to embrace. Right, so it's no longer about getting rid of your ego. Okay, now, because I know that we were trained growing up in the spiritual walk, oh, get rid of your ego. The ego gotta die. And now, let me just say this: the ego gotta die was not fully explained. What is meant by the ego gotta die, it means that the ego has to die in the sense of not working with all of your aspects. So the ego, if we talk about the ego maybe being controlling, full of shame, full of guilt, it has to merge with the part of you, the conscious part of you, the subconscious part of you, okay? So I think I probably should explain this on a different level, okay? So you have the egoic part of you, which is the part of you that's just autopilot. This is the part of you that once you learn how to drive, you're on autopilot. This is the part of you that gets up and take care of the kids. This is the part of you that gets up and do that. These are things that you just get up and do. Okay. So that's the realm in which your ego lives. Your ego lives on that realm of autopilot. Okay. So when they talk about your ego dying, it's not so much your ego dying and you getting rid of your ego. Your ego has to die to it being on autopilot or to old programs or old systems that don't work for you. And it has to merge with your intuitive nature, okay? So you're able to trust not only what you see externally, but you can be able to use your emotions as indicators, okay? As to how you need to navigate a particular situation. That is going to be important because you paying attention to your emotions and how to navigate things is going to give your body the reset that it needs. Right now, in the Quasi Era energy, everything is at quantum speed, okay? Which means your stress levels could be high as hell, right? And all you need to do to bring these stress levels down is maybe 5 or 10 minutes of meditation a day. And meditation does not necessarily have to be you sitting, meditation could be taking a walk by a lake. Meditation could be you painting, okay? Meditation could be you, with the grandkids, right? So all of these rules of you have to do your spirituality like this, that's bullshit. You need to go within so your spirit can tell you how your walk should be. Your walk may not necessarily look like my walk, okay? We may have similar things happen along the walk that we can, learn from each other, but it's not going to look exactly the same way my walk is going to look. Right? Now, the areas of my walk that I may have to do the heavy lifting may not necessarily be the areas that you got to do heavy lifting on. What I may be able to tolerate and hold and bear my cross, you may not be able to do that, right? So you are not and should not look at anyone's experience on this journey and think that it's going to be identical to yours, because that's not true. Okay, that's not true. This is why I'm telling you, you have to start judging people based on their resonance. Not so much what they're saying, not how pretty the channel look, not that they always have the perfect thing to say and they post the perfect stuff on the internet. No, resonance. Is what they're saying resonating with your inner truth? That's what you're looking for. Okay, is what you're saying resonating with your inner truth? Because we're meeting. We are now meeting each other for this appointed time that we set up for us to help us remember. Okay. All right. So you need to know that you need to let everything externally that you've been trying to hold together and control, that's been trying to pull apart, that's been trying to tell you this don't work no more, that's been trying to tell you you need to pivot, you need to allow those things to collapse. Okay, come on. What do you mean collapse? How is this going to play out? That relationship that you may have been trying to hold on to, that friendship that you may have been trying to hold on to, that job that you were supposed to walk away from years ago and they finally maybe released you and now you're mad because you don't get, you need to let that go. And then once you begin to like, okay, so let me tell you how the work happens, right? Once you begin to let it go, you then go to a place where, okay, this shit sucks. Like you got to own that part first, right? Because everything is not all peaches and roses. You get to a place where like, no, this shit suck. And not only do it suck, I don't know what the fuck to do. Matter of fact, I feel something, but I can't even articulate how I feel. You're going to have moments of, I feel like I want to cry, but I don't even know what I'm crying for. And then you do this big purging and this cry and you feel better. You're going to go through these spaces where you feel alone, where you feel like nothing makes sense. And then you're going to go through the spaces where everything is just so beautiful. And, you know, the grass is greener and the flowers are prettier, right? That's how this shit works. So you think every day you're going to get up in peace, love, and light. No, fuck you. No. Every day you get up, you have an opportunity to go into your pieces of you, your fragmented parts of you, right? Right? You see, because this is what they don't fucking teach you. Here's a mystery, my love, right? You know how we're always told to find the peace within you. Find the peace within you, right? Find the peace within you. The pieces that you've been finding within you all your life is a fragmented pieces of you, right? Once you begin to get within yourself, those pieces that you've been finding, or the peace that you've been finding, and now comes to wholeness, right? So what they don't tell you is not the peace that surpasses all understanding. It's the wholeness from within that you get when you go to a place within, right? Where other people's opinions don't matter much anymore, right? The people you love, you know, you want to take that shit into consideration, right? But even though you love them, their opinion of how you should navigate your world and your life at this moment don't hold as much weight as it does, right? Then you start to understand and realize that, well, shit, I don't gotta try so hard no more. I don't gotta try so hard no more. I've been doing all of this shit. You mean I've been doing all of this shit? I don't gotta do this shit? I don't have to try to make excuses for why you're walking around and you always have a negative attitude. I don't got to try to make excuses for why every time you show up in a place you're complaining. You know, I look at you and I can see all of the blessed things that you got going on. But when you show up to talk about life and day-to-day shit, or you can't find your good shit that's unfolded, right? So now here it is, you co-mingling your energy with someone else that can't see beauty, can't see love, can't see transformation, can't see their shit. And then you wind up feeling drained all day. You don't even know why you feel drained. I had so much energy like 3 or 4 hours ago, but you don't spend 2 hours with somebody that's fucking draining you. Let things crumble. Things that's not supposed to be fitting in your experience right now, don't try to make them fit. Things that don't resonate, it's a resonation. You have to discern what and whom you're resonating with or on in this particular phase. And this is going to be continuing up until about 2030, okay? So by 2030, which is going to be about 75-35, okay, on the ancient calendar, there is going to be something explosive. And what's happening right now above in the ethers with these comments and shit, it's setting it up. I'm going to do a video on probably doing the calendar system, the distorted calendar system and the ancient calendar system, so you can see how this is going to play out for the next 5 years. I don't even got to do the months. I could just show you the year and energetically with the numbers how these years are playing out until in the next 5 years. Any channeler out here, anyone out here in the spiritual world that's channeling energy, right? Whether they're channeling it from whatever labels you give it. I don't give a fuck about labels. What I care about is you understanding that even if this world is not real, even if your soul is evolving, you have control of the role you want to play right now. You got control. Playing field, even playing field right now. Even playing field. Okay? We are literally seeing in real time this is a mental universe. So even the whole thing about AI, you are the original AI. You don't got to be afraid of anything. That's the biggest thing that we're going to have to get past in this quasi era is fear. And this is why we have this community here, because we're going to help remind each other how to get past that shit, right? Sometimes you don't know how strong you are until you have walked through something. But I'm going to tell you right now, raise your hand, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Raise my hand. As I was sitting today in meditation, my spirit started to take me back to, when have there been a time that you have not been kept even when you was going through something difficult? Year, it might have sucked. Year, it might have been painful. By the time you got to the other side of whatever that was, come on now, you can't say that divine orchestration, or if you want to call it luck, or if you want to call it synchronicity, whatever label you want to put on it, you cannot tell me, if you look back at your journey, you don't see some type of order and structure, and you don't see some type of how you have been kept on this journey, and how you've been guided, and how you've been navigated. If you're doing your work. If you're not doing your work, then you're not going to be able to see none of these things. You're going to have to, and I'm not even going to get into planets right now, because even if you don't study astrology, if you don't study astrology, but you study energy, man, listen, these planets will talk to you. You know how much times I don't have to go looking at the planets or anything. I don't gotta, I don't even need to know when somebody's born, but I can tell by certain archetypes. I can tell, right? I can tell when a full moon is coming. And this is the thing, and this is why I don't want y'all to get even caught up in astrology, because there could be a full moon in the sky and people acting crazy because it affects us. Like, that's scientific, right? But there could also be a full moon in a person's chart or in their energy that caused them to act fucking crazy. So please know that not just every time a full moon is in the sky is the only time that the energy could be off whack. And especially if you are empathic, or you're tapped into different veins of, of different veins of energy, man, you can feel things weeks before it comes, days before it comes. Or just like, have you ever thought about somebody, and then maybe 20, 50 minutes later they call you, or maybe even earlier than that, somebody just run across your mind, and then before you know it, you run into them a few days later or the same day or something, right? That's an energetic field. So you thought of them and they showed up, you tapped into that energetic field. You can do the same thing for planets without knowing where these planets are, what these planets are responsible for, what they do. That's that something. Something's different. Something's off. Something feel weird. People are doing weird shit. People are extra sensitive, right? That's you reading energy, baby. You may not be able to know that's what you're doing, but that's what you're doing. So you don't really need to know all these systems. What you do need to know is yourself. What you do need to do is learn to trust yourself. So you don't need to know all of these systems. What I'm giving you here is information to help you to understand where you are and what you can do if you want to access certain things. But you don't got to do this. And I also say, I'm not your guru. Go research these things, because truth does not need no external validation, but it is going to give you some external verification. So go verify the shit that we be talking about here. Okay. All right. So what else I got on my note? Okay. Remember I gave y'all that journal prompt earlier within the week, right? The journal prompt, like a couple of days ago, I gave you guys was to start journaling about what you notice about yourself. Not so much what you notice about other people, but what you notice about yourself, right? And this is not an exercise for you to notice good shit only or notice bad shit only. It could be good or bad. It don't even matter. Just what you notice, right? The assignment was just to jot down what you've observed about yourself without judgment, okay? Because here, let me give you another myth breaker, right? Once you start to do the type of work that we're talking about, especially with the 12 strands, 12 zodiac, 12 strand DNA, 12 discipline, 12 disciples, 12 directions of light, whatever the 12 falls under, right? Once you start to work within this particular energy grid and these energy patterns, right, you will notice that good or bad, you really need to focus on bad, good or bad. What you need to focus on is being neutral. Because that in which you give your energy to is that is in which you feed. That is what you feed. So your feeding, your input is going to be equal to your output. Okay, so you need to know that. All right, I'm giving you some science here too. I told y'all I'm a certified trained audio sound engineer. Okay, went to school for that. Paid a lot of money to learn sound. Didn't think that I was going to be using sound to sit here and teach you guys about energy. I thought I would be up in the studio someplace, okay? Till I realized that that is not what I want to do. That is not why I went there. I went there thinking that that is what I was going to be doing. But no, I went there so I can learn this shit and remember this shit so I can come back and help you remember the same shit. One of the things they taught us in engineering school is you got to watch your input and your output. You could blow some speakers. You could blow shit up. There's phase cancellation. You can literally cancel sounds out, okay? Neutralize sounds. We have to train our ears. Hey, V, how you doing, V? We had to train our ears when I went to audio engineering school. So what we're learning here is for you to train your spirit on how to discern energy, okay? We are going to be beginning to unlock some myths starting Monday, okay? I'm going to give you some foundational things starting Monday. It is your job to do the research and show thyself approved. You are your own guru. You don't need nobody else. I'm just here to remind you, okay? Let me also say this. Get your journals, okay? First of all, let me just say this. The stuff that we starting on Monday, we a community. I'm not going to charge you for this, right? No. We going to be doing this together, right? So I'm going to give you the information, all right? We are going to have classes. Now, the classes is something different, but the information is for you to go and research. There are going to be some practical things. I am not going to give you information out here and just get you stuck and you don't know what to do with it. No, you're going to have to go down the spiral and come back up the spiral to study the information or to, research it on your own. But I'm not going to give you information and not tell you how to unlock it or how to use it. I'm not going to do that. That defeats the purpose. Okay? So one of the things that you are going to need to be able to learn and study this energy that we're finna get into is you're gonna need you a journal. I suggest get more than one journal. Right now I'm operating with more than one. I think I have 3 right now in rotation. And each one of those journals do different things. Okay? And I separated them for a purpose. Because there's new energy coming in right now. And I need to be able to understand the subtleness and the shift in the new energy. Okay? There is a new energetic presence that has entered into our atmosphere. You have geologists talking about it right now, okay? These comets and the sun is doing things that they have not recorded ever, okay? As above, so below. So shit can't be happening above with the comments and shit, and you don't think shit is going on with you? Been feeling the clearing and the burning in your body. Oh, we finna get into all of that, V. On Monday, oh, we gonna get into why you're feeling it, because you onto something. You're onto something. Do you guys know I was in meditation yesterday, and I was channeling, some information from my guides. And when the channel came in, I went and I looked it up and I researched it because I've never heard anybody talk about this before, okay? So they, my guides were telling me about a 13th chakra. I'm like, a 13th chakra. Now, first of all, let me just say that there's multiple chakras, right? There's smaller chakras, and they're called like noads in the body, right? So there's still like smaller structures within the body, but I'm talking about a 13th chakra along the stem of the 12th chakra. And that 13th chakra point is meant to be that the macabre energy, or that's your soul's energy. That would be what you would say the observer of all of this stuff, okay? That's where that energy dwells, okay? So that chakra lies 3 inches between your throat chakra, behind your throat chakra. That chakra lies there, and it's activated and it's activated and starts oscillating with certain tones. Okay? Like I went down this whole spiral, y'all. I had to come back up because I didn't even know. Like when I got clear instructions, 3 inches behind the throat chakra and three and just very detailed things. And when I looked, I was like, oh my gosh. And then when I started to research, well, okay, show me in the body's anatomy where this will be, where I can find this. Like show me in the body. Because when my guides come in and tell me things, the first thing I do is I need a visual. I'm gonna need you to verify, because remember, truth don't need validation, but it is going to give you some external verification, right? I told y'all that, right? So spirit guides, your ancestors, they're going to bring you some truth. And it may not be able to be truth to other people for you to go to and be like, girl, can you verify? Because I heard my ancestor, my grandmama came and girl, my guy from over here from, series came and told me, and you can't. No. They may not be able to verify the truth or the downloads, right, that you got in, right? But guess what? Validation? Oh yeah. Validation. That bitch is going to show up outside of you. Validation is going to show up outside of you. Okay? Especially if you ask for it. So my framework with my guys is one. I do speak to people that has transition, but I don't want to see no bodies. Okay? I don't want to see nobody dead body popping up. You want me to do this work? Don't show me no dead bodies. Okay? I don't want to see that. I can feel them. I can smell them. So I have learned how spirits that have transitioned, how they communicate with me. There's a few things. People that has recently transitioned, I smell the hospital. People that may have transitioned a while prior, I'll be walking through spider webs. Like there's different things, okay? So just so you know, so now that's my internal truth validation, right? This is how things are validated to me, right? So here's my verification. The verification comes when I sit with the client and I hear this. Oh, okay, well, I feel a grandma energy, and this is what grandma is saying, and then this is what grandma, and this is what grandma name is, and da-da-da-da-da. That's my fucking external verification. Because validation, I can't tell to you how I'm able to pick up these subtle energies. For me to try to explain to you may not always come out, because sometimes I be in my head, well, I hear what I hear. So let me just go ahead and tell you what I hear, because to me it don't make no sense, right? So I say what I hear and then the clients verify it. That's my external verification. So I'm going to need you to know a lot of what you're picking up and reading energy and paying attention to subtle energy. The validation that you may be seeking, it ain't going to always come from outside. You may get it from in your community of people that's doing the same thing and on the same walk like you, right? People that's tuned in and tapped in like you, right? You may get it from those, but even on the times where you don't get it from them, Spirit will show you some external verification of what the fuck you just heard. Okay? No. V, I don't want to see nobody's V. V, no. So I don't want to see nobody's. And I don't want nobody walking through my body. Do not. Okay? I don't want to see no bodies. And I don't want to. And the interesting thing I would say, right, V, is I can walk into the room and I don't have to see the body, but I can tell you energetically, oh, you got somebody over there in the corner. Kelly tells this joke all the time. When we first started being friends, I walked into her apartment one day, and I had traveled from Atlanta, and she lived in New York. I was still working at the studio, and I had to travel once a month, and I would stay with her and my mom, right? And when I got to her apartment one time, I was like, oh, girl, you got a young baby in here and an older lady. And I just got and went to sleep. She said she was telling me, girl, you sleep? What you mean a baby and an old lady? Girl, she said I was knocked out snoring, y'all, okay? So I say all of that to say, I don't want to see. Don't come hovering over me. Do not try to enter my body or my energetic field. Don't do that. I don't like that feeling. So even when I'm channeling with different energies from different star systems and stuff, don't try to take over my body. I don't like that. Don't change my voice. I don't like that either. Okay. I can hear clearly. I can feel. I don't need you to, now time out, because let me just say this. Time out. I want to just say right here, I respect every channeler out here that's tuned in, tapped in, and doing their work. Because it ain't easy. People be thinking you crazy. People, like you know. And I say that because a lot of amazing channelers, they are open to having the energy come in and embody them. So much so to the point that their voice changed, their tone changed, their body posture changed, right? And I applaud them for that because that's brave. I told y'all, like, I be working on some of this earthly shit. I told y'all I deal with some control shit, and I want to feel in control, okay? So, no, you don't got permission to enter my body. No. I can hear you fine. I can feel you fine. You do not have permission for that, and I prefer not to see you, okay? Because I can feel you. That's just me. Now, you do have people that are death doulas. And death doulas, sometimes they don't, like they see the people, okay? So I'm not a death doula now. I can read the energy, but yeah, so no, I don't want to see nobody because I don't want to wake up and you at the foot of my bed. That's going to scare the shit out of me. I already feel you. And when it's too much energy, I just clear the field. Oh yeah, I gotta go. Okay? So what we're doing now is establishing how to discern and read energy. And let me just say this, okay? How do I put this? Because I want to be gentle. For people that are new to this, okay, I want to be gentle. If you're new to this and I'm talking about this feeling and you're still connected to any type of like dogmatic religious system, so you can think of the Holy Ghost, right? You can think of, when you feel the Holy Ghost. You can think of when the spirit hits you. You can think of even a good one, even if you're not connected to any type of structure, religious structure, you can think of it as a gut feeling. Like your gut, something is telling you, your gut, okay? Start getting used to your gut, okay? Yeah, V, they brave for that, V. I don't want nobody, no. I don't want to, no. But we all come here with different imprints and different codes. That's not in my code. I don't want to see none of that. Miss T said, I had to ask them to stop. Miss T, see? Miss T, that's what I'm talking about. No. And then Miss T, I don't know if you've had the experience to actually feel anybody crawl into bed with you. Have any of you had that experience where you actually feel either crawl in the bed or sit at the bed? Telling y'all, that shit used to scare the shit out of me when I first started accepting that this was something that that I had access to. And this was before YouTube. And see? Okay, see? Safe space. Miss T say yes. And hug her. Okay. All right, so the next thing, right? Leading up to Monday, I really want you to observe yourself. Remember, you were supposed to be taking notes of what you noticed about yourself. This is important, okay? The reason why this is important is because as you're taking notes about what you've learned about yourself or what you're observing about yourself, this is going to begin to give you discernment between what's your energy or what's your triggers, what's your pain, what's your trauma, what's the things that you need to work on as you're healing. Right? Because once you recognize those within yourself, nobody can project their shit on you or transfer energy, okay? This is needed for you to begin to establish boundaries. So that's why you were given that journal prompt, okay? In order for you to begin to discern energy, you first need to understand yourself. You need to know your own shit. Okay, you need to know how your energy can go into a room and how you can read the room of that energy, or how you can change the room of that energy, or how you can observe the energy of the room because you're open. Okay, that's what that journal prompt was for, is to get you to begin to start seeing how you move. Okay, all right. Okay, now All right, now let me get over to my notes, okay? Because I got other notes here. Okay, here we go. What's the time? We're already in, we're 50 minutes in and I didn't even go through much of my notes yet, y'all. I just got caught up and just, okay. Oh, wait. I just got caught up, y'all, and not, okay, here we go. Okay. So, when you start the spiritual work, one of the first things they tell you is, first thing is know thyself, okay? And the next thing is to thine own self be true, okay? So your first lesson that they want you to do is to know yourself. And then once you know who you are, they want you to be true to yourself, okay? That's the journey. The journey is about remembering who you are. And then once you remember who you are, live in the fullest truth of your essence, okay? You need to understand that we operate in a mental universe. Your thoughts create things, okay? And the way that we navigate through this universe is through our emotions and our actions, which is going to produce an outcome, okay? So, moving forward on Monday, we're going to be learning about the mental universe. We're going to learn about navigating through this mental universe using your emotions and your actions, okay? So fire and water is going to be very big as you're navigating this energy, okay? Fire is going to be your actions and water is going to be your emotions, all right? Now, the way that this energy moves, this energy is always going to move through air. Air is your thoughts. That's the mental realm, okay? So the way that you're going to be moving through this energy, okay, is through your thoughts. What's going to be governing the energy and how you flow through it is going to be your emotions and your actions, okay? We will establish all of that when we get into next week, okay? Now, okay, next thing that I wanted to let you guys know coming into next week, okay? So it's important for you, like I said, to know who you are and to thy own self be true because you are your own guru, all right? We're going to be working on setting the foundation of you learning the mental universe, how the mental universe works, okay? How you can get trapped in shame, guilt, projection, fear, all of that stuff, all right? How to navigate through the mental universe using your emotions and your actions, okay? Then we're also going to establish that the journey of self is really one about acceptance. It's just about acceptance, all right? Because there's different experiences. So like I explained earlier, your experience is not going to look like everybody else's experience. Me and Miss T just broke that down a second ago, all right? Your experience is not going to look like everybody else's experience. The journey is for one to remember who they are and then accept that truth about yourself, that inner truth. Because remember, inner truth don't need no external validation, but it is always going to produce external verification. It's a personal journey. So your experiences will be different from others. So you need to remember to allow the sacred things or the sacred truth that's within you. You need to remember you don't need nobody to verify that. I'm not here. I'm sorry. You don't need anybody to validate that. I'm just here to help you verify that. Okay? Here's an important one that we're going to be establishing through this journey. Your spiritual toolbox. Okay? This is not a one-size-fits-all. Just letting you know. This is not a one-size-fits-all. What works for me may not work for you. A tool that I love may not necessarily be a tool that you love, okay? So when I talk about the spiritual toolbox, all right, these are the tools that you can begin to utilize in the unseen realm or utilize in the realm of spirit, which is the unknown realm, okay? This is the realm of the inner process. This is the realm of the inner psyche, right? Now, this is an inner process. This is not happening externally. So, your spiritual toolbox can have in things like a journal. It can having things like chanting, you know. It can having things like Reiki. It can have things in like meditation. It can have things in like reframing, okay, etc. Right? Tuning forks, sound bowls, okay. So your spiritual toolbox can have anything or any accessories or any tools that you might love, not me. Okay, because I might like sound bowls. You may not like sound bowls. I may like tuning forks, right? And you would probably prefer sound bowls over tuning forks. I might like to sit and meditate like this. Your meditation could be you walking through the park daily, right? So just know, although these tools are available to everyone, what works for me may not necessarily work for you, but you all gonna have to find you some tools though. Please know that. You have to find you some tools. You will need to know how to deal with your emotions when you feel triggered. You will have to know how to deal with your emotion when other people are projecting on you or you're projecting on other people. So this is where your spiritual toolbox comes in. This is where you can tap in and use tools to help you to navigate in the unseen realm through using observation. You can learn to trust the inner process with your toolbox by the tools you have. And I know some of you don't even know that a tool you have is stillness. Stillness is a tool. Stillness is a tool. Okay? Part of the process that you're going to have to establish before we kick off on Mondays, get within your spirit that you are going to have to own your shit. Self-transparency is a real thing on this journey. Self-transparency is a real thing on this journey. And there's no judgment needed, because remember I told you at the beginning of the video, like when you get to a certain place in this walk, right or wrong is not even what you be paying attention to no more. Right or wrong is not even what you be paying attention to no more. You get to a place of neutrality when you just want to figure your shit out, right? And tap into who you really are, right? You're not so concerned about who wronged you. You're thanking for the lesson and you keep it moving. So self-transparency is a real thing on this journey, and there is no judgment in that. This is where you begin to understand that you have a light part of you and a dark part of you. And if you try to hide the dark part of you, that part of you is going to act the fuck out. That's where your insecurities are. That's where your traumas are. But that's also where your powers are. Okay? So owning your shit gets you out of the avenue of guilt, shame, insecurity, and all the other fragmented aspects of you that you can tap into with your healing. Okay? Let's go to the next one. All right. This is important. And this is not just for the 12, the activating of the 12 strand DNA. This is not just for activation of that. This is just what you should be doing regardless. Okay? And some people already operating and activating the strands of their DNA, but they don't even know that that's what's unfolding. They don't really know that's what's unfolding because they just following their inner truth. So they may not have the words or the articulation to put these things into words, but they're experiencing it because they're trusting themselves. You cannot be on this journey and trust somebody else more than you trust yourself. And that's the problem. A lot of us have been placed in situations either by our own doing or by our childhood upbringing or by our childhood indoctrination. We've been trained, right, to not trust ourselves. We've been trained, right, when our gut says don't, to get away from this person or to run. We've been trained, well, if you want to be a good Christian, you should love everybody, right? We've been trained to love people, but you haven't really been trained to love yourself. So how are you loving your neighbors when you don't even fucking love yourself? How does that work? That works by you giving more to other people that you don't even have to give. And then you wonder why you feel depleted. You wonder why you feel drained. You wonder why you feel like you're not happy. You wonder why you feel like you're not loved. You wonder why you feel like your life is not where you want it to be. You wonder why you're not able to do your creative stuff. You wonder why you doubt everything. You wonder why you're so anxious. You wonder why you have to take anxiety medicine. You wonder why stuff is going on with your body, but they can't find out what's going on with you because you done took all these tests and nothing is showing up on the test. But the issue really is You're not being truthful with yourself. You're saying yes when you really mean no. You're saying no when you really mean yes. Right? So owning your shit is important, but also creating a spiritual routine is important. And I'm not talking about my spiritual routine. I'm talking about your spiritual routine, not mine's. Whatever that looks like to you. Whether that's pulling out your Palo Santo and burning it and sage in the house, you know. Whether you prefer sage over Palo Santo. It's not just about buying a whole bunch of fucking crystals and sitting them shit out. It's not just about buying the sage and having the sage there on an altar that you don't even sit. And here's the thing too, all right, because a lot of you don't even know. There's nothing wrong with having an altar, but when you get to higher levels of communication, like an ancestral altar, when you get to higher levels of communication, you understand that the altar already dwells within you. I'm just saying, okay? Remember what I said, your own spiritual routine. If you're creating your own spiritual routine, then you don't have to do what everybody else do because your spirit will guide you what to do. So say, for example, I like to burn frankincense and myrrh, right? You may be led to burn white sage, right? But here I get on the internet telling you, oh no, if you want to cleanse, no, you need to cleanse, you need to do this, with frankincense and myrrh because they represent, purging, smudging a room and cleansing. That's what they activate for. But that's not what the fuck your spirit told you to use. How do you know they ain't tell you to use the white sage to clear something else out and they wasn't trying to... Pay attention to your own inner spirit. Your own spirit is going to tell you what routine you should use. So much so that you can pick up a book. You can pick up a book and flip through the book and the book will land exactly where you need to read. And even if it's a paragraph or a sentence, it will land exactly where they need you to land. You don't have to skim through the whole book. Trust yourself. What's good for me may not be good for you. So creating your own spiritual routine is important. Whatever that looks like to you. Go sit with yourself and see what that looks like to you. I can give you tips, but my setup may not necessarily work for you. It may not. My setup could be walking around the house all day without any radio, any TV, any, phone, anything, right? And you may need only 2 hours of that. You may not need to do that all day. Does that mean that my routine is better than yours? No, that means that's just you in spirit. Y'all rock out. Okay. I got a few more and then I'm gonna let y'all go. Okay. Now, you want to stay grounded and you want to stay hydrated. And this is just not for what we're fitting to do next week. This is really just period. Okay. You want to stay grounded because you need to make sure that you're grounded and rooted. There's so much going on in the heavens above, but there's also so much going on in the world that you want to stay grounded and tapped in and tuned in where you can be able to discern subtle changes in the energetic field, okay? You also want to stay hydrated because by you staying hydrated, that's also going to loosen the joints and allow the energy to flow a lot better than if you're dehydrated. I got to drink more water. I went and found my bottle, y'all, because I had not been taking in enough water, okay? So we need to re-up on our water, all right? And once again, your spirit may tell you only drink 5 glasses of water a day. Somebody may have to drink 8. Like, just do, you may need a smaller bottle of water than I do, okay? Just do what you're led to do, okay? And I also want to say, too, if you need to go get you a physical or any guidelines before you start to do any type of fasting or any type of dietary changes, and if your spirit leads you to do so, you need to do so. Okay? Just don't be a vegan just to be a vegan, but you're not doing the internal work, right? Somebody that eat pork and drink beer and liquor and eat bacon every day, but got a very healthy spiritual routine can outlive somebody that's a vegan and do yoga every fucking day. because their energetic field wasn't right. They weren't being authentically truthful and honest with themselves. They were seeking validation outside of themselves. So if you're seeking validation outside of yourself, then the external verification is going to validate that in which you're seeking externally. Okay? Stay grounded. Stay hydrated. And here's where I want to say, like, listen, I don't even care if you're drinking tap water, spring water. Like, I'm really honest with you, okay? At this point, tap into yourself. There's so much shit on the internet telling you what not to do, what to drink, what not to drink. Pay attention to your spirit. That shit is too much. Like, by the time you finish filtering all of that shit out, then fuck, you can't drink no water at all. If it is not coming from the Alpine mountains and shit. I'm going to take y'all back to this part in the Matrix when he was eating the steak and he said he knew that wasn't real, but it tastes as good as hell. Bobby Hemmett used to say he was healing himself with orange soda. I don't know if y'all anybody know about Bobby Hemmett. Bobby Hemmett is one of the old, oldies from the back in the days, okay? Hey, Taj. Hey, Taj, my love. I'm telling you, Miss T, they will have you not wanting to eat or drink nothing out here with the shit that be on the internet. They will have you out here not wanting to eat or drink anything with the shit that be out here on the internet, okay? Your spirit is going to tell you. Like, one of the things that I stopped doing, not because anybody on the internet was saying that I shouldn't know, of course you have all type of dietary stuff on the internet, but I didn't start eating like white rice and flour until like a month and a half ago, and my spirit was like, okay, no, we going through this ascension process, and so you remembering, so you can't have all that rice and shit because your body's inflamed. You bloated. That is not going to help you out in transmuting these energies and all of these new frequency coming through your body. That is not going to help you. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, if you don't have your mind and your emotional body right, and your actions right, it don't matter what the fuck you eat. I'm just going to be honest with you. It don't matter what you eat. Okay? But now, see, I would say this too. I'm going to say this to V. Dr. Sebi definitely had a very strict, he was very big on the autoimmune system stuff. So he was very big in pointing out what food had inflammatory properties, right? But this is what I've realized along my journey, okay? So say, for example, remember the other day we were talking about salts and how some people, depending on where you're born, there's just certain salts that's missing from your mineral chart, right? Some people that are born on a certain blood type, certain food just does not register with your, when you do like your epigenetics and stuff, it just doesn't register, right? I am not going to say that this man's work over all these years did not bring some type of legitimacy. But what I am going to say is that we're in a time now where your body is going to tell you what works for you and what doesn't work for you anymore. It's going to tell you. It's going to tell you. So I say just, really? But V, this is what I'm learning. What I'm learning is depend on your energetic archetype, right? Depend on your blood type. Depend energetically on what minerals your body might be missing. Your body might be craving almonds. I'm telling you, become your own inner truth compass, because your body's going to tell you. After I had my kids, my body started, I couldn't eat nectarines anymore. I couldn't eat cherries anymore. They changed the chemical makeup of my body, so I can't eat those things anymore. Right? But when I really wanted some cherries, when I was younger, y'all, I still used to eat the cherries and then take a Benadryl. I don't do that to myself anymore, but I used to do that. I don't do that to myself anymore, but I used to do that. Okay? So please, get out of your head And stop thinking every time you watch a video that tells you this is not good, 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 right? Go within your spirit and ask your spirit, okay, I done seen 3 or 4 of these videos recently that's telling me, that this is not good. Or you're trying to give me a message. Is this something that I need to pay attention to? You're going to get that nudge from inside. You're going to get that nudge from inside. I haven't been eating meat for years, y'all. I have not been eating meat for years. I have not had steak in, over 5 years. I want to say in over 5 years. I just had me a piece of steak the other day because my body was craving steak. And my spirit was like, yeah, you need to take a bite of that. And I did. I'm telling y'all, I take a bite of the steak. I chew it up. I didn't swallow it, but I chewed up all of the nutrients and then I spit it out. Because part of me was in my mind was like, I haven't eaten this shit in years. I want to fuck my stomach up. So I opted not to swallow it. But yeah, I just had a piece of steak. I want to say like a week and a half ago because my body was craving it. Right? My spirit was like, yeah, you need to take a bite of this steak. And I did. I took a bite of the steak. Because I was led to, all right? But if I pay attention to what I read on the internet, what if it's not organic, then this. If it's not raised here, then this. Like go within, okay? Go within, because not everybody's body can handle being a vegan. Just so you know, okay? Not everybody's body can. See, V said the same, been vegan for years, don't want to fuck up my stomach. I'm telling you, V, but what I can tell you is now that I'm not eating rice and like potatoes and all of that stuff, I feel so much better. I feel so much better. I still eat my meat, my chicken, my salmon, my fish. I still eat, the protein, I used to I did vegan for a while. Maybe not as long as most people, maybe a year or two. I did vegan. But there's certain things that I know my body just says no. Like one of the things my body's held no to is I can't drink beers anymore. I used to love a cold ass Heineken. Oh, on a hot summer day, yes. I can't do that anymore. That does not sit well with my body. All of that yeast, I can't do that anymore. I just started having a glass of wine within the past month or two because I stopped drinking wine for years. Everybody used to make fun of me because when I go out with my friends and stuff or when we hang out, I drink 5% Angry Orchard, like wine cooler. So I'm in the 5%er, like the small North Ice, like the, very berry type shit, right? Like the 4.5% liquor, the 4.8%. I just literally started drinking wine like a month ago, okay? Because I didn't want it to fuck up my stomach. It was years ago. I had to stop drinking that stuff. So just know, allow your spirit to lead you where it needs to be when it comes to your diet, okay? That's going to be important, but staying hydrated is important. Hydration is going to help you with a lot of the fatigue energy, a lot of the aching joints, okay? It's going to help you to stay fluid. To stay as the currents of the electrical circuit that's hitting the grid or hitting the earth is hitting you. Water helps to stabilize a lot of those energetic currents that's coming in your field, okay? Your bioelectrical field, all right? Just like the sun is beaming down on those comments, it's also beaming down energy on you. You are the ethers in the cosmos, all right? And that's what we're getting into next week is how you are activating not just your earth body, but also your cosmic. Not just the earth chakras, but also your cosmic chakras too, okay? Now, I also want to say here, let sacred things be sacred. Practice spiritual hygiene. Practice boundaries and setting directions, okay? Boundaries and directions, okay? We're going to get into boundaries and directions. You'll understand more about directions when we start next week, okay? So if you don't understand what I mean by directions, you're going to get into that starting next week, okay? Everything have a boundary and a direction, okay? Maintenance of your energy is necessary. Where are you directing your energy to is going to be important as we are moving from now up until 2030. Okay? Something beautiful is unfolding leading up to 2030, but depending on where you are emotionally or mentally, it may not feel beautiful to you. I'm just saying. People's perspective is changing, and you're going to have the outcome based on how you see the world. If you think the world is falling to shit and it ain't no more good people or kind people in the world and everybody just going to hell and there's war all over the place, guess what? You're going to continue to have experiences that have you in that fear, stress, cortisol level running where there's constantly war. The war is not just going to show up on the news and on on the news or in the countries outside of you. You're going to start seeing war happening in your own households, in your own relationships. Okay? So be mindful, okay? Maintenance of your energy is important. Where are you directing your energy to? What energy are you agreeing to? What are you co-signing, right, with your energy? All right? And by co-signing things with your energy, what are you giving thought to? What are you thinking about all day? What are you feeling in your feelings about all day? You're going to have to learn to get into your feelings so you can get out of your feelings. Your feelings are indicators. They're supposed to be navigational clues to tell you where you are. You're not supposed to get stuck in your feelings. Okay? You're not. Okay? All right. Last but not least, okay, you're going to have to do the fucking inner work. Period. You're going to have to do the inner work. Nobody can do that for you. I spent over an hour talking about how the inner work looks like, what it is. If you're coming in on replay, go take it back to the beginning because we're starting on Monday. So Monday, waters and journals is necessary, okay? We are going to be getting into the 12 parlors and the Council of 12, okay? This information that I'm going to be bringing starting on Monday is going to be channeled information from the Council of 12 and also from the Quasis, okay? And any other of my guides that are coming through for us to be able to transmute this energy. All right, quick rundown of some of the things we're going to be touching on. Self-sovereignty, clarity in a truth channel, how you can create a clear truth channel from within. The embodiment of the energy. So this is the nervous system check, right? This is tapping into your nervous system and navigating the energy using your nervous system. So you are going to have to heal your nervous system. That's going to be required as this energy is coming in, okay? Transmutation, owning your shadow energy, owning your shit, your triggers, your controlling nature, your trauma, your pain, your disappointment, and the expectations that you put on people that you should not, okay? We're going to be talking about boundaries and direction, okay? Where your energy goes, okay, guess what? Verification is going to follow. Okay? Just saying. Okay? Your sanctity versus and sanctity and sacredness. We're going to be talking about spiritual hygiene also, okay? We're going to be talking about being able to serve and be disciplined, all right? And when we're talking, okay, so energetically, just so you know, while you're on the place of this earth, you're going to have to either serve or suffer. Oh, come on, what do you mean serve or suffer? That simply means once you figure out and remember who you are, it is not going to be anything for you to be of service to people with the information and the knowledge. You're just going to be. And you just be you. By you just being you, you give people the opportunity and the freedom to also be themselves and explore the realm within themselves, okay? But the suffering part of it is when you pretend to be somebody that you're not. When you wear all of these masks that was given to you. When you don't seek to really find out who you are. That's what I mean by that, okay? And it plays out on multiple levels too. So we can get into all of that also, okay? You are going to need a disciplined routine. Remember I told you, you're going to have to create your own spirit's routine, right? We're going to be tapping into the resonance, and the relational field, okay? This is who's mirroring you or what is being mirrored back to you, okay? We're also going to be talking about activation in the DNA, all right? This is initiation energy. This is time to remember, okay? We're also going to be tapping into how you can integrate and weave all of these things we're going to be talking about. How do you lead that into your actual day-to-day experience, all right? Because it's operating and it's happening, and not because you don't know how to weave it in don't mean that you're not affected by this energy. People are fucking wilding out. And as we get closer to 2025, remember what was it, 2020, 2019, I kept telling you guys people are going to start spinning out. People gonna start spinning out. They're spinning out, y'all, and it's finna get worse. Okay? It's finna get worse. Because the shit have to fall apart before it can get, like, what's not meant to stay has to decay so new life can be birthed again. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about the activation of the DNA. All right, that's the invitation for you to remember. Okay? We're also going to talk about integrating and weaving everything that we've learned. I said that already. All right, we're going to be talking about your vision and your direction. What's the next step? Where you really, where you want to go with this? Like seriously, where you want to go with this? Like, you want to go some superhero shit? You just want to go get you a piece of land where you do your own gardening and planting shit, You want to go be in the beach somewhere with your family. Like, where you really want to go with this shit? You want to take this information and help other people because that's what you're supposed to be doing. You want to now use the trauma and the healing that you have to go out and then, add it to the community, and whatever your gifts are. Like, what do you want to do? What's your next step? What's your vision? What's your direction? Okay? And it don't have to be big. You can start small. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the return, the rest. This is the recovery portion of the initiation. This is where you are actually moving and vibrating in your resonance because you get it. You get it. You get it. You get it. You get you, not me. You're not trying to figure me out. You're not even trying to figure out the information that I'm giving you. You're trying to figure out what the information that I'm giving you, that anybody's giving you, you're trying to figure out how that applies to you. You're on a journey to learn you. You're on a journey to remember you. Okay? You can't give somebody what you don't have to give, baby. And if you don't know who you are, how can you fully show up as yourself if you don't know who you are? You can't fully show up if you don't know who you are. All right? Okay, y'all. That is everything. I got through all of our notes, okay? And we ran down the 12 stuff that we're going to start tapping into next week, okay? Like I said, I'm so super excited. I have so much shit coming to, and I'm getting good because now I'm starting to write stuff out. Like, I'm literally starting to, you guys, can you see this? I'm starting to put the tabs because there's so much different things that I got to bring to you. So I'm starting to have to color code things. So that way I don't, yeah. It's coming together though, y'all. I'm so excited. Okay. All right, my loves. Hopefully that you guys will be able to help. You guys will be here to join me on Sunday for my birthday. Okay. Make sure you show up with your glass of wine. All right. We may not make it so heavy, right? Because, it's my birthday. So, jump on and have a glass of wine, a cider with you guys on Sunday. I will give y'all a time tomorrow. Okay. Because I just want to make sure that there's nothing else going on here. Okay. I know, Miss T. I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I be geeking out over, all of this stuff. So now that I'm back and I can share this information with the community, my wonderful, wonderful soul gurus, y'all are my soul gurus. We on a soul guru journey, remembering who the fuck we are. Like, I'm excited, And especially when you start to put things together and then you can help other people put things together. And then, like when I catch something, I give it to you and then you like, oh shit, I was thinking about that 3 years ago, but I didn't understand what I fit. And then this last month, Spirit reminded me about that. And now here you come through with the same information when you put up. I like that, right? So that's what we fitting to do. Okay, now I will be back here tomorrow. Now, this is what I am going to say, y'all, okay? If tomorrow, if I do you're probably not going to see my face tomorrow because I got a busy schedule. I know I'm going to be at the house a couple of times tomorrow, right? But this is what I want to say. I may not be on an interactive live depending on my schedule. You're going to get a video tomorrow, but it may not be an interactive live, okay? Where I sit down and, we chop it up, okay? But I'm definitely going to post something. It may be a live that I'm not able to sit and interact with you. However, if I'm doing it that way, it's going to be early in the day. If I'm going live where I'm interacting with you, maybe later in the evening. But if I'm releasing like a video, I may get that done before I actually leave the house to run my errands for the day, okay? Because I have a long day tomorrow out of the house. But we doing something. We gonna fit it in somewhere tomorrow, okay? All right. Kelly Kell sends her love, okay? I told y'all she started a new contract, so she be in bed by 8:30, okay? We're gonna have to probably catch her on the weekends because that's when she's off, all right? I know we have so many wonderful things that we're supposed to be bringing to you, but I can't really move forward until she gets acclimated at this new contract, with this new client. So once she gets her schedule set and they kind of smooth things out in that area, I'll have more information on when she's able to come back on here with me, okay? All right. I love you guys. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go ahead and do something kind for yourself, okay? Because you should. I'll tell her you said hi, Miss T. Do something kind for yourself because you should. You also want to do something kind for somebody, not because you should, but because you can. And confidence is contagious. Love is contagious. Bliss is contagious, Just like all of the negative things are contagious, the positive things are also contagious. So go ahead, right? Be you. Do it not because you should, but because you can, all right? On that note, my loves, I'll be back here tomorrow. I love you guys much, okay? I'm so excited. We got this. We got this, okay? This is a new adventure we're about to embark on, and it's going to be beautiful. I love you guys much, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Bye, my